Hi there. Many of you don't know me, but hopefully through this video we'll get to know each other a little bit more. I am doing a video on a certain topic that caught my attention. It's actually been boiling in me for quite some time now. I just never actually had the time to do the video, but I wanted to bring up a topic. It's the concept of American white Caucasian men and Asian women. Now, I know that's a very broad topic, but that's okay. It's a question of why do American white men seek or pursue Asian women over white women? Now, please feel free to post or send me your comments or your thoughts or your ideas regarding this topic. I do need your help. I need your thoughts and input. No judgment will come from me on how you feel. I just truly would like to know what the general public believes in or their thoughts. So please leave the comments and subscribe. That way we may be able to continue this topic with your responses, discuss them, and maybe shed some light into this. Now, to start this off, question is, have you ever heard of yellow fever? No, I don't mean the disease you can pick up when you go to certain countries, okay? I'm talking about when Caucasian men develop an acute sexual preference for Asian women, becoming a fetish, or some would say. It's currently, I think, it's currently estimated over 2 million or 2.4 million users of Facebook dating apps showed a clear preference of women of Asian descent by men of all racial groups. Ironically enough, except for Asian men. Now, that's actually very interesting, okay? Just to premise where this is all coming from, this topic all started or rose up when I was heavily drawn into watching a YouTube channel or YouTube videos of a particular YouTuber posting videos primarily by helping families in poverty in the Philippines. Now, this is very intriguing to me because I know what poverty looks like in the Philippines. I myself am Filipino, so I've seen it. And to have an individual have the ability to take the resources and use it to help a family in need, whether it's a family or two or multiple families, it's extremely satisfying, to say the least. So I continued to watch more and more of their, I guess, episodes. But as I continued to watch more of their videos, I explicitly noticed a topic that is constantly being brought forward. Now, whether it's a little insert of a comment in the middle of the video or actual street interviews from women, random women in the street, of Asian women and white men. Now, the topic of white men seeking Asian women, I really didn't pay much attention to it at first, but watching it over and over and more of their videos constantly having these little inserts, I noticed that this individual is very much against the concept of white men seeking Asian women. Now, it almost kind of sounded racial on their part. They actually have several different topics that they continually insert in their videos, and they continually pursue it with a negative connotation. One of the main ones, obviously, is white men seeking white Asian women. Secondly, is he continuously, verbally or in written form, show his lack of respect for the United States and his excessive negative political views of the United States. But that's a different topic for a different time, and we'll address that a little bit later. What's interesting actually is that this individual became very successful through innovative use of YouTube. But the possibility, I'm sure, was given to them while they're in the United States. But they firmly believe that being in the United States had nothing to do with it, that that option or that chance was not due to that concept. Again, another topic for a different day. Now back to our topic of white men seeking Asian women. They even went as far as, like I said, inserting these interviews of asking random women on the street in the Philippines of what their preference was. And interestingly enough, these are the basic two questions that they brought up. Is option one, would they choose a fat white man with lots of money? Or option two, a handsome Filipino but have no job and no money? What would you choose? Just remember, if they're in poverty, they may have different reasonings in their head regarding these questions, right? As if there's nothing in between. It has to be a choice between a fat white man with lots of money versus a handsome Filipino but have no job and no money. And they go forth inserting these random interviews on their main videos of helping families in poverty in the Philippines. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they were just trying to extend the video length. Maybe he's trying to get a point across. I'm really not too sure his primary point. Maybe to discourage the idea altogether. If you know which YouTuber I'm referring to, we can just keep that to ourselves. This video is meant to get the public's insight to what you think about American white men seeking Asian women. I'd really like to see your comments on this matter or any ideas or thoughts pertaining to this topic. Now, a little bit about myself, and maybe this would kind of shed some light as to why I'm bringing this topic up. I was originally born in the Philippines, but I've lived in the United States now for over 32 years. I actually have 4 kids who are half white and half Filipino. That's probably why this topic caught my attention. This is probably why I was offended when I heard it and heard this individual's remarks about it or comments, because I feel what he's talking about. I too am in that situation. Okay, now this person is so offended by the concept of Asian women preferring white men that they continually put those comments in between their videos, that the interest of watching their videos no longer exists, for me at least, in that matter. And it's just a bunch of rants that almost had no point to it. And, it actually caused me to stop watching their videos, hearing all the negative points of views from this individual, not from comments and things like that, but the excitement and the enjoyment of watching them help a family in need or in poverty cease to exist within me. Pretty much left me looking for other channels to watch on YouTube, which is unfortunate because it actually was very pleasant in the very beginning to see the families that they've helped. This person firmly believes that as people, we should stick to our own race, and to go outside of that is almost to say against God's will or plan, which I believe is very naive on his part. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It baffles me. Maybe progress or evolution is something they may have not considered as a possibility or as an option. I'm really not sure. So, I know of many Asian women that are with white men, friends, families, acquaintances. I never once thought differently about them. I never showed or verbalized any negative connotation towards their relationship. I never gave him the wrong impression about their relationship. And for this person to have such a negative comment or feedback or negative belief about this type of relationship is just completely, truly mind-boggling for me. So yes, I do need your help. I need your thoughts, your inputs, and I promise no judgment will come from me, whichever way or however way you feel about this topic. I guess you could call it a research on my part, which would be very helpful to an extent. I actually did a little bit of research just before I did this video as to this topic and why this exists. Let's see what your thoughts are about these comments or I guess reasonings to why. The question is, why do men prefer Asian women over white women? Doing research, I found four main reasoning that other research individuals have, I guess, gone through, but there's really no actual institution that did this research. I think it's mostly hearsay, comments and rants from people, but a lot of the times most of these four are the ones that actually kept coming up, which means maybe there's some truth into this. Number one, it's because of failed relationships. The first point is that a large majority of Caucasian men seeking Asian women is because they were in a long-term relationship at one point in time with individuals of Caucasian women from their own country. But due to the failed relationship, they decided to pursue other options because of maybe fear, maybe because of what they experienced through those relationships. Okay? Number two, most predominant reason these men initially look into other countries is that most Western societies, now I keep in mind I say most Western societies, the rights within relationships are now heavily weighed in the women's favor. Did you get that? Most Western societies, the rights within a relationship is now heavily weighed towards the women. I believe what they're talking about are accumulation of wealth, accumulation of property, and of course maybe children upon the demise of that relationship. What does it really mean? Are white men looking for someone to dominate or show dominance over, or maybe they don't want to take a chance on another relationship failing and what they've worked towards are now in favor of the women, maybe through assets or resources? I'm not sure. Please advise. Number three, men outnumber women in some Western societies. Now, that simply means that women also hold the majority of, I guess, the power in the dating game. That could be true. More males, less women means less options and less potential choices. What does that boil down to for these men? Are they looking for a wide range of options? Maybe. To find the one good one? Maybe. Or Do they feel that they're not good enough to participate in that small bucket, small fish versus being the bigger fish in the bucket? Right? Now, number four, whereas women in Asian countries outnumber, a lot of Asian countries that is, women outnumber the men, which happens to attract the majority of Western men looking for an Asian partner or an Asian bride. This could be valid for, this could be a very valid reason for white men. Again, more options, have the ability to be able to find the right one instead of competing in the general public. What does that tell you about that person? I don't know. A lot of different thoughts, and maybe you can shed some light into that. Okay, so then of course the other side of the spectrum. Why Asian women prefer white men? Well, clearly a lot of Asian women are open to relationships with foreigners and older men for many different reasons. Okay, yes, of course, money is often one of those fueling those relationships. But for some, they are also attracted to the paler skin and that Western look. Now, I don't know if that's true. If you know of an example, if you know of a situation, maybe you can shed some light into this. It's simply saying that Asian women are more drawn into the paler skin and that Western look compared to men from their own country. Now, the second reason that I found in this why Asian women prefer white men is that I know this is going to sound primitive, but the white skin and blue eyes for their offsprings. I mean, yes, I know it sounds primitive, it sounds minute, but this may not always happen. Okay, but the reason has come up quite a bit, and from previous, talks with Asian women, or maybe from the videos that this YouTuber I was referring to in the beginning, that's actually a reason that came up quite a bit, which is very interesting. I don't think that reason ever came up for me and my relationship at this time, that what my kids would have blue eyes, but it has come up quite a bit with women being asked. Now, the third reason is the possibility of a better life. Now, that's more common. When I did a little bit more research on it, this is probably one of the biggest reasons for many Asian women. Is you just have to remember that most Asian countries only have two class systems. They only have the rich and the poor. Now, if majority of the population is on the poor side of things, and if women outnumber men in those countries, you have to accept the fact that there are a higher percentage of women in a poverty setting versus a comfortable living in those cases. Now, if that's the case, if given a choice to have the potential probability of a better life, you would think that a normal person would actually take that option. That you don't need to be an Asian female to have the common sense to try to pursue a better life for yourself. It's what we call self-survival. You want to ensure survivability for yourself and for your future family. But at the end of the day, the possibility of a better life becomes very, very attractive to these Asian women. Now, have I seen that happen? Absolutely. Absolutely. But does that mean there's no love and attraction along the ways for these couples? No, of course there is. Whether they developed it in the beginning or they developed it afterwards, I mean, there's a reason that they continue to stay together. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, shed some light into that. Next one is in many Asian countries, Asian women's, I guess, many Asian women believe, I guess is what you would say, men from the West treat women better than men from their home country. Now, we don't need to start a whole can of worms on that topic, but there's something behind that story. That why do Asian women believe that Western men treat women better than men from their own country? Is there any truth to that? Maybe, maybe not. I have my own experience, and I'm sure you've seen some. But yeah, I've seen Filipinos mistreat their wives. I've seen other cultures that doesn't just exist in Asia. Okay, that happens everywhere. But maybe the consistency, maybe the frequency of it happening in Asia, maybe they believe it is higher than anywhere else. I don't know. But that's one of the reasons that I saw when I was doing my research, is that the women believe that Western men would potentially treat them better than men from their countries. That they also believe that in her country, the female's country, what she does for a man or her husband is expected, that it's mandatory, that's what you're supposed to do, and that the man does not have to appreciate what she does. And they believe that here in the United States, most men come to expect a lady isn't required to serve him, or want to please him, or love him. They don't require or expect that as a demand, that it just happens, that it's not law, I guess is what you would say. It's not law. And that when an Asian lady does provide those feelings, his appreciation is certain. His appreciation is certain that they feel good, I guess. Well, anyone would feel good if, I mean, it's a two-way street. I mean, if the wife was loving the man and providing for their needs and vice versa, and loving each other, I mean, of course, their feelings towards each other would be certain. It's almost it's almost saying that in Asian countries, the women, it's a one-way street, that the women have to provide all of those and that the men doesn't have to. Now, keep in mind, I have seen that happen. It's unfortunate, but I have seen that happen. And of course, a lot of my friends or other family members in the Philippines probably never really looked at it with any different thought, just because maybe it happens too much. But when I see it, I'm thinking, there's something wrong here. Something wrong with this relationship. So, like I said, basically, for an Asian lady, the man does not have to be super rich or look like a movie star. He just has to treat her well and show his love, and that's primarily enough for a lot of these Asian women. Okay, so as far as my short research goes, it seems that Asian women do have the white fever. When it comes to yellow fever, it's a two-way street. It's vice versa. Many agree that, it clearly has to be a two-way street, just because if it's just one or the other, then obviously it's more of a reward system than potential growth. Okay, so there are obviously so many other reasons why, for both parties that is, for Asian men to be upset that more and more Asian women are pursuing the option or the possibility of being with a white man or Caucasian man over their own kind, and of course vice versa. Okay, I'm sure there are many white women with a negative view, per se, of white men seeking Asian women over their own kind. I mean, we're only human. We're gonna have those thoughts and those ideas. I guess it's not something that you will have to just say get over it or anything like that. I think it just exists, but to verbalize it is a different story, I would say. So, in conclusion, I really do want to know what you think. I really do want to get your feedback. I'd like to hear some comments about this, and maybe one of these days, I'll actually post or share this video to this YouTuber that I was mentioning earlier. Maybe it would help them not necessarily have a common sense, but possibly an open mind that bottom line is a lot of people out there are happy with whoever they're with, and a lot are not. And to pursue other option of relationship with maybe outside of your religion, outside of your community, outside of your country, or outside of your norm, it's maybe not a bad thing. This really depends on the situation, I would guess. So please leave your comments, and of course make sure you subscribe so that we can go ahead and update these videos with responses that we get from you, and hopefully this topic can be a little bit more, I guess, informative or educational, and if nothing else, it'll provide me with some comfort in knowing that maybe I'm not the only one that have thought about this, or maybe I'm not the only one that don't believe that there's nothing wrong with those type of relationship. Maybe this person that I'm talking about is just completely narrow-minded. Maybe they lack common sense. So, give us your insight. I would truly appreciate it, and I promise you I will not judge you in any way, shape, or form. I would just thank you for your comment and your insights. So, till the next time, we'll see you back.